welcome to Race for the White House, a show where we get to the latest from the US election. On today's show, we'll tell you how Kamala Harris has surpassed billionaire Donald Trump in terms of finances, as the incumbent vice president is raising more money than Trump in the biggest funding quarter. On the other side of the show, we'll tell you about a shocking news report which says that the Secret Service held disorganized walkthroughs before Donald Trump's assassination attempt in Pennsylvania. All of this and much more, so let's get started. Kamala Harris is making serious waves, and it's not just in the polls. Now, new figures have emerged showing that the quarter ending in September has been the biggest fundraising quarter even for Kamala Harris. Now, the Harris campaign has managed to raise over $1 billion in just 3 months. Meanwhile, the Trump campaign has raised a mere $160 million in September. Now, this is despite the backing of world's richest man, Elon Musk. But as polls between the two candidates tighten, will the funds be enough to move the needle? Now, the vice president's campaign and affiliated groups backing her raised about $971 million from July to the end of September. And this is more than the Trump's campaign entire haul of about $894 million since the start of January 2023. So overall, Harris has received contributions from about 4.9 million donors since entering the presidential race in July. And this is more than 3 times as many as her Republican rivals, 1.37 million in the same period. Now, the previous record for highest fundraising quarter across all party committee is held by Joe Biden. Biden raised about $888 million in his 2020 presidential campaign. Now, the main big bucks for Harris comes from the Political Action Committee group known as Future Forward. A few Democratic billionaires have disclosed 8-figure donations to the Harris campaign. And crypto billionaire Chris Larson. Now, both of them donated $10 million each. Meanwhile, Democratic Governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, has donated about $5 million to the Harris camp. Meanwhile, Trump, who's no stranger to big money, is relying on his tried and true strategy of wooing major donors. But this time around, Harris is proving that those big checks alone may not be enough. She's steadily climbing the ranks with support from millions of small donors across the country, and it's giving her campaign some serious momentum, especially in those must-watch battleground states like Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Arizona. Now, don't count Trump out just yet. His rallies are still packing in the crowds, and his core supporters remain as loyal as ever. But political analysts are pointing out that his reliance on big money donors might not be enough to counter Harris's growing wave of grassroots support. Both sides are gearing up for a massive final push at this time. Now, Harris's record-breaking fundraising means that you'll be seeing her ads on every screen, billboard, and your social media feed. And Trump's team isn't holding back either, but with Harris outpacing him financially, her campaign is reaching far more voters than Trump. But where does this leave us? Well, with just 2 weeks to go before the election day, it's shaping up to be a fundraising and voter outreach frenzy like we've never seen before. So, will Harris's billion-dollar grassroots machine power her to victory, or will Trump's tried and tested playbook of big donors and enthusiastic rallies keep him ahead? Well, one thing's for sure, the real race has only just begun. Moving on, a new bipartisan House report has just blown the lid off what could have been one of the most shocking incidents in the recent political history of the United States. In a shocking turn of events, a newly released report has exposed massive security failures at Donald Trump's rally in Pennsylvania. The report reveals serious lapses in security protocols that left the former president vulnerable to an assassination attempt on his life. The report details how a 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks opened fire from a rooftop just outside the event security perimeter. Now, the report from the House Task Force is the latest look at the cascading and wide-ranging failures of the Secret Service. The grave lapses that preceded the July 13th shooting at the Butler rally, where Trump was struck in the ear by gunfire. Now, one rallygoer was killed in the shooting, while 2 others were wounded. And members of both the House and Senate have repeatedly questioned why the Secret Service didn't do a better job communicating with the local authorities during the campaign rally. Now, this report says that 2 days before Trump's rally, the agency conducted a security walkthrough with the local police. And during this investigation, local authorities revealed that the agency's blueprint to secure the perimeter was thoroughly disorganized. Just to let you know, the security service is tasked with protecting the country's top leaders, and although the findings in this report are preliminary, the information obtained clearly shows a lack of planning and coordination between the Secret Service and its law enforcement partners before the rally. The report outlines the glaring gaps that allow the suspect to breach security at the site. Now, the report further says that there was no clear chain of command, leaving many key responsibilities unclear. And what was the result? Well, that security teams weren't synced up at the event. But beyond the technical lapses, this report has also sparked a broader debate about the safety of political rallies in today's hyper-partisan environment. Now, Trump rallies in particular have been known for their large and passionate crowds, and now there's growing concern about how effectively those events are being secured. Now, Trump's campaign team has enhanced security measures at events, ensuring that there are no repeats of this near catastrophe. And now this revelation comes at a critical moment in US politics. With the election looming, campaign events are ramping up and security concerns are also at an all-time high. Political tensions are running hotter than ever, and ensuring the safety of both candidates and attendees is becoming a massive challenge. So as Trump prepares for more rallies on the campaign trail, all eyes are now on his security team. The House report has rattled nerves, but it's also sparked action. And for now, the report serves as a stark reminder of just how fragile security can be even at the highest levels. So as we head into the 2024 US election season, there has been an unexpected shift in political allegiance among Muslim American voters. And this is pointing towards none other than Donald Trump. Yes, you heard that right. Despite the divisive rhetoric, Trump is gaining ground with Muslim Americans. And now, according to the Arab News poll, Trump is narrowly leading Kamala Harris among Arab Americans with 45% rating, while Harris is at 43%. So what's behind this surprising trend? Well, our White House correspondent Rohit Sharma decodes this for us.
Good evening. In a significant shift ahead of the 2024 presidential election, Donald Trump has picked up an endorsement from the Pakistani American Public Affairs Committee, also known as PAC here in Washington, D.C. And movements like Abandon Harris are expanding across key battleground states such as Michigan, Pennsylvania, and even Georgia. Now, these efforts are bringing Muslim American voters into the spotlight, a departure from 8 years ago when Muslim Americans led by figures like Zair Khan, a Gold Star father, stood strong with the Democratic Party. But now the tide is turning. Back in 2016, Muslim voters were united against Trump, following his introduction of the controversial Muslim ban. However, fast forward to 2024, and we're seeing a growing number of Muslim Americans now gravitating towards Trump. Now, there are three key issues driving this surprising shift. First, the ongoing conflict in Gaza. Now, many Muslim Americans feel let down by the Biden-Harris administration's response, citing a lack of strong diplomatic action and efforts to de-escalate the violence. The community feels ignored in their calls for peace and justice. Second, and one of the most ignored issues, is the cultural and educational concerns in the US around explicit material in school books, policies around gender identity, and gender-neutral bathrooms. And these issues actually clash directly with the religious and cultural values of many conservative Muslim Americans. And lastly, the feeling of abandonment among Pakistani Americans, particularly with regards to the US-Pakistan relations. Now, many feel the Biden administration turned its back on Pakistan after ousting of Imran Khan, leaving the country in political turmoil. With Trump's promise to restore diplomatic ties, these voters see him as the candidate who will protect their interests. To break this down further, we'll be speaking to two guests tonight. First, we'll have Scott Pyle, who's the chair of the Loudoun County Republican Party, and he will give us the insight into how the GOP is appealing to this vital voting bloc. And then we'll be joined by Samiullah Khan, a prominent Pakistani American Republican who serves as the liaison to the Muslim community and is also a PTI activist living here in Washington, D.C. We'll talk to them and try to understand why they feel that Trump is the better choice in 2024. And joining us now is Scott Pio. He is the chairman of the Loudoun County GOP, that is Republican Party. He has been canvassing throughout the county to elect the next congressman from Virginia District 10, a very interesting district. And the reason we have him on is because the Muslim American voters are playing the trump card in this election. We've seen that Muslim American voters have come out and started supporting President Trump. There is an abandoned Harris campaign going on in some of the swing states. And just a day ago, the Pakistani American organization, PAC-PA, has come out and supported and endorsed President Trump. So, Scott, welcome. When you and I spoke last, you talked about how the GOP wanted to do an outreach to other minorities in America. How do where does this leave, the Democrats essentially? Because the Muslim American voters have been a strong supporter of Democrats all along. I mean, for all the number of elections, especially in the modern times.
The Muslim vote, in my personal belief, is a very interesting vote because I believe they left the Republican Party in the Bush era politics, and I don't think they've been back. But we've been working extremely hard in Loudoun County. We have roughly 10% of our electorate is Muslim vote. Another 10% is Indian vote. So 20% of our county in Virginia, Northern Virginia, make up a large percentage of our community. And we have been working very hard, doing a lot of legwork at the mosques and at the temples to bring in these communities to the Republican Party. And so far we have enough to say that we could certainly sway the elections in Northern Virginia and turn the tide of the red wave. And the stuff that we're showing the Muslim community, they're running in strides, so to speak, towards the Republican Party because of how terrible the Democrat Party has taken our schools and turned them into a woke propaganda machine that allows boys and girls to share bathrooms and that puts our kids in harm's way because they're showing them improper stuff inside the schools.
So, Scott, I mean, that's one aspect of it, and
Yeah.
obviously, but then there's a geopolitical issue at play, especially when it comes to states like Michigan, where we've seen that the Muslim Americans have, abandoned a Biden administration before, and they're asking now that want people to vote for Kamala Harris. Do you think these votes or voters will have the impact that the Republicans are looking at in trying to swing the states towards having those vote for President Trump?
Yes, wholeheartedly. If Michigan swings, if the Muslim community swings in Michigan, Michigan will change the blue wall that the Democrats have been working on for the past 15 years. And in Loudoun County alone, if the Muslim community simply decided to vote in a single block Republican, you would turn the entire state of Virginia red overnight into a Republican state.
And to talk more about, this, we've got Mr. Samiullah Khan. He is a PTI activist. He's the vice chair in the Loudoun County and an activist. I mean, I probably should say, who's the coordinator between the Muslim community and the Republican Party. He also is remotely associated with the PAC-PAC, the organization that endorsed President Donald Trump. Samir bhai, welcome to the show. First things first, how big of a deal is this when Pakistani Americans are coming out and saying they're going to vote for Donald Trump? Now, remember, not too long ago, if there was a Muslim ban in place. A lot of Muslim Americans were upset with what President Donald Trump had done. This is like a movie playing out right now, where things have changed completely, and we're seeing Muslim Americans supporting President Donald Trump, endorsing Donald Trump. So, what has changed in the last 4 years?
Thank you so much, Rohit, giving me a chance, and this is the opportunity so I can speak about my community, obviously. And the question you've been asking about how we are moving towards the Republicans, obviously, there's a lot of things behind. One of the important thing is, the community is always asking questions himself, where we stand, especially Pakistani Americans, not even Pakistani Americans, representing Muslim community as well, obviously all over the Muslim in part of this United States community, So one of the main issue we believe that Republican administration, they did not stand the right thing, which we are, obviously looking for the effort towards back home call, Pakistani. You can see what bad things happen in Pakistan, obviously impacting, big impact actually, not just impact. That impact, one of the reason we think Republican is actually going to help out for the democracy in Pakistan.
You're
Rule of
referring,
law.
Samir, you're referring to the fact that there was a change in government in Pakistan,
That's correct.
and that and reading from the statement that came out from Pak was the fact that a lot of Pakistani American believe that the Biden administration has not done enough to A, look at what was going on in Pakistan, B, have Imran Khan released from the jail that he's been in. Uh, is that the only reason why Pakistani Americans are supporting Donald Trump?
Not just the one reason. The another reason is we feel uncomfortable against the rights. Obviously, there's other issues here. Especially Americans. We call all Americans together. We are facing, and we think we can do better if we move towards Republican side, not just Biden, because we have seen them from a long time. We vote them. This is not just for immigration. We know even the immigrations, there's a lot of gaps, not just for Pakistanis, even not just for the Muslims, all over the people who is coming here on visa, especially from India, even there's a lot of backlog, especially if you talk about H1 visa, there's people still here from long time. They didn't get the green card yet. So, the issues like that, this is one of the reason. And the another reason is the school, the school issue, which, LGBT issue, and we are standing against them because as a religious thing for us and as a Muslim, it's very important, and I am seeing Trump is talking about, and there are people here, especially in Loudoun County, they're standing, they're doing different, they're creating an atmosphere, they're talking about, we feel so comfortable, when things like this happening, especially supporting democracy, and talking about American rights. So it's really, really helping us out. So it's not just that. There's beyond that. I can see because here in my county, there is a lot of gap. That gap from my community, the Pakistani people, they're not voting. They're not participating in election. So this time around, I can tell you, they're very excited. People who even never voted before, they're voting now. And the one of the another reason you already mentioned earlier, the Imran Khan thingy, the same thing happened here with Trump. So they feel the same way. Whatever is happening in Pakistan and whatever's happened with the Trump in United States, it's kind of a similar thing, and they feel more comfortable towards to the Republican side.
And now it's time to talk in numbers. With less than a month remaining for the US presidential polls, the race for the White House remains intense. Vice President Kamala Harris is maintaining a narrow lead nationally and a neck-to-neck battle in the swing states. So let's take a look at how presidential contenders are faring in polls today. According to the New York Times poll, Harris is leading in the national polls with an approval rating of about 49%, while Trump is trailing at 48%. In the swing states of Wisconsin and North Carolina, Harris is again maintaining a lead at about 49%, while Trump is at 48%. Now, in the states of Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Nevada, both Harris and Trump are logged in at about 48% rating, while in the state of Arizona, Trump has taken a lead with an approval rating of about 50%, while Harris is at 48%. And in the state of Georgia, Trump is leading with an approval rating of about 49%, while Harris is at 48. So with just a few days remaining for the elections, it looks like the polls are swinging from left to right every day. And now it's time to get you some political updates from the US that you might have missed. First up, Democratic Vice Presidential nominee Tim Walz has accused Donald Trump of disrespecting McDonald's workers by pretending to work at one of its restaurants on Sunday. Now, in the interview, Walz says that Trump's policies are the ones that undermine those very workers that work at the food outlet. Now, Trump's McDonald's gig has generated media coverage as well as criticism from a number of Harris allies. Next up, Donald Trump has admitted that he is seeing no evidence to suggest that there is any election fraud taking place in this year's election. The Republican presidential candidate's admission stands in stark contrast to his typical rhetoric about election integrity since 2016. However, the former president still believes that the 2020 presidential election was stolen from him. And last, a Donald Trump supporter flew a plane above Miami's Hard Rock Stadium on Saturday to tease Taylor Swift. The plane had a banner tied to it which read, "Trump 2024, ready for it, cat lady," with a question mark. Now, this comes weeks after the four-time Grammy winner endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris in a social media post. Swift is performing at the Hard Rock Stadium as a part of the Eras tour. Well, that's all we have for you in this edition of Race for the White House. Stay tuned to India Today Global for more updates on US elections.